Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to dig into this stack of newspapers. Yes, quite a number of them. And I'll be doing so with my guest as we do every midweek, every Wednesday. But right before we get into that, you know how we do it. I'm going to introduce to you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. In case you've never heard of them, in case you have heard and never made a call to them, today could be your day. And here's why. They're offering, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. What if you're a woman, fertility screening also for free, gratis. And that's why you ought to take advantage. You don't know the status of your fertility. You don't know the status of your prostate. And you're walking about thinking everything is fine until boom, something, unfortunately, happens. We don't pray for that, but they say prevention is better than cure. And that's why I'm offering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Reach out to them at any of their branches. In Accra, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrady, Anaji Estate is where they can be found. They are also here in the Greater Accra region, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siamantima. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review. And my guest this morning joining the conversation, we always have him. He's a political scientist. He's been a former head of department at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. He is also director of the Center for European Studies. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben.
Lovely shirt.
Good to see you.
I don't know whether that's lemon green with splashes
it is
of
lemon
white,
green,
but you look gorgeous this morning. Thank you for joining us. And there has been a lot to discuss. The other day, just a few days ago, we were talking about the reshuffle. In fact, yesterday, I think, we're talking about government's, the president's ministerial reshuffle. Now, I know something that will really have caught your attention. The majority leader senses that there is some move by some people to oust him, a move that may have been stifled, stymied. But the question is, why? And why now? And does it point to more cracks within the MPP? When it happened in the NDC, there was talk about division. You recall when Dr. Cassia Latoforsen was taking over from the Tamale North MP, I believe, Haruna Idrisu. It became complicated. I didn't think it would happen in the MPP, but here we are. What do you make of these? And I just might add, some schools have been in darkness in recent times. Last year, Infantipim's headmaster complained about it, about some of the situations in the school. In recent times, I believe Wesley Girls has had its own bout with it. I've had parents reach out to me, Accra Academy, among other institutions, having their lights go off. The explanation has been that they are supposed to present bills to the Free SHS Secretariat for them to be paid. Bills weren't presented. ECG says, we reached out, it's the schools we have. And when they owe so much, we turn them off. It's just been chaotic. But you can share thoughts on any of these or something else if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think today, thanks for the opportunity once again. But a little correction. I've never been a head of department before, Ben.
I thought at a point, okay, it was Dr. Bosman Asari, right?
Yes.
You're right. It was Dr. Bosman Asari, and then, was it now Professor Alidu Seidu immediately after?
Yes, today is Alidu. Yeah, Professor Alidu.
Okay. Thanks for the correction, though. Thanks for the correction.
Thank you. Right. I think today I want to, shy away from all that you have said. Not the case that they are not important, they are. But it's something pressing that I need to talk about. Let me look at the aquaculture business and how the government of Ghana, for that matter, the fisheries department has helped to promote this, including the aquaculture chamber. They've done so well, especially the ministry. Fantastic work. If you go around, you realize that it has become attractive to people. they are ending means of livelihood on that because there is support from government in terms of free fingerlings. There's support from government in terms of free feed giving to farmers. And I must commend the ministry for that hard work. And the information is out there and the support immensely. But there's something that I think they need to tie up to this in order to bring their work to its logical conclusion, that finding markets for farmers. You talk to farmers and they have fish which is ready for sale. There's nobody to buy for them. And I speak on authority, right? And this is gradually becoming a problem for farmers. They are wondering, why would the ministry spend resources to support them in terms of feed? Ben, I can tell you without fear of contradiction that the feeding of these animals, this fish, is so expensive. Yes, but the ministry gives free feed for farmers. I commend them. It's a bold attempt. In addition to that, the fingerlings are also expensive and they give free fingerlings. So you can imagine what the government is spending in terms of this program. Laudable program, because people are earning means of livelihood and all that. But hey, people produce, there's no market. I think, I know that the ministry have some people who they link them up in terms of the market and all that, but it's not enough. Right. I'll urge them to move that conversation to another level. The ministry can, set up or have some people, investors to come in so that they can buy this fish, process them or sell them abroad. That can be a source of foreign exchange for the farmers. It's a good project. If you look at the young people who are working idle with high jobs, I think this can be the beginning of business for them. You can send them around, buy these things into a van, and then it's processed or it's sent outside for hard currency. I think the ministry should turn its attention to this because it's one of the means by which we can help reduce unemployment, and then we consume what we produce here. I think this is what I have today, and I want the ministry to take political notice of this and help farmers in this way.
Well, a critical issue you've brought to the fore this morning, of course, that help is crucial. And of course, it also feeds into our national security because food security is national security. And once you are food insecure, then you open yourself to all kinds of elements, even from within. So crucial point you've made, and thank you for highlighting that. Let's quickly get into the papers now. The Daily Graphic is where I'm going to start from. Graphic Zoom Lion Clean campaign. Regions brace for sanitation competition. There was talk about that yesterday. Ghana pushes towards late fertility. I'll be telling you what that is all about on page 13. Political interference fuels Galamsey and forest reserves. District managers cry out. Oh my word. Ghana and dealing with Galamsey. Free SHS Secretariat forwards 5 million Ghana cedis to schools for electricity bills. That issue I was just talking about. On the back page, Volta OT GMA institutes a scheme to award medical officers, and SOS International donates drugs and equipment to North Tong. It also has to do with the flooding in that community, the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, and the aftermath of same. And the SOS International, based in Kentucky, in the USA, has presented medical drugs and equipment valued at $110,000, the equivalent of about 1.4 million Ghana cedis, to the North Tone constituency as support for the care of the people of the area. I just want to say this. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa was here in recent times. Yes, Nyofru Diapano, any piano. And I feel he's shown himself, especially, forget about his talk about the National Cathedral and the president's travels and all of that. In this instance, something happened which affected the people in his catchment area as well. And he rose to the occasion, stood up, and did what had to be done. And like we said, you climb a good tree, so to speak, and then people push you. You've had a lot of people coming in He's put up 2 facilities there, not single-handedly, and more of this keeps coming in. So I guess example for other, not just members of parliament, other leaders from the districts, from the assemblies, whatever, ministers. When you do it, people will see and support. I don't know whether you have any quick thoughts before I go to the other stories.
I think I commend MP as a good cause. This is why we vote people into office, to represent the people. One of the functions of the MP is the representation function. You represent not only the interests, but the aspirations, dreams of the people, as well as dealing with their problems. And when you chance upon their problem, you bring it to light, to the attention of Parliament for onward, submission of the issue to the depths of what government. This is exactly what the gentleman is doing. We support him and we want people to emulate his good example. Let us build a society where we can support one another at all times. That is all the essence of our democracy. That when we work this way, democracy will be seen as an important system of government that provide all that we need as a society. It is true that democracy has its own problems, and sometimes dividends takes time for us to realize. But for me, it is the only game in town, and no other system can work better than democracy. I am for democracy, through and through.
Well, let's go on to other stories. Regions brace for sanitation competition. An initiative to rank all 16 regions on how environmentally clean they are has been launched in the Volta Regional Capital Hall amid pomp and, celebration. Now, to win the competition, a region has to pass an inspection of surroundings by an environmental team. And the team will look for a matrix of things bordering on cleanliness and proper waste disposal management and methods for a maximal score of 60%. Popular votes from the public will weigh up to 40% for a composite index of 100%. The Graphic Zoom Lion Cleanest Region Ranking Campaign is a partnership initiative of the Graphic Communications Group Limited and waste management company Zoom Lion Ghana Limited. When I got to Inho, amid pomp and, back then, Lexus and Structure, at least our time, everything, it's always pomp and pageantry. So I got there, I saw pomp and celebration, and I stalled in my brain. Yes. Pomp and celebration instead of pomp and pageantry. I was just laughing in my head in a momentary second there. But let me add the 2 stories, the one on Galamsey and Free SHS, and come to you, Doc. So there are those 2. In fact, there are 3 more. So I'll add 1 to this, you react, and then we'll do the last 2 and move on. Let's go to page 13. Where are you? Where are you? There we are. So political interference fuels Galamsey and forest reserves. District managers cry out. Of course they would. Now, forest reserves in the country remain under siege by illegal miners in spite of efforts by the Rapid Response Team of the Forestry Commission to weed out the menace. Now, interference by politicians and traditional rulers continues to fuel illegal mining, popularly called Galamsey. Some district managers of the Forestry Commission said it was worrying while their Rapid Response Teams risked their lives to arrest recalcitrant illegal miners under precarious environments, political figures and chiefs exerted their authority to get them freed. They told the Daily Graphic on condition of anonymity that in the circumstances, some illegal miners who were arrested by the Rapid Response Teams and handed over to the police were let off the hook. Now the concerns: you arrest the people and there is political pressure mounting on you to release them. Traditional authorities demand their release, and pressure mounts from all angles, one of the district managers of the Forestry Commission, who pleaded anonymity, said. And that's why we'll never win this battle. Because the politicians come, we are fighting it. Now lie. They are benefiting from it. Doc, over to you.
It is unfortunate that we have this type of situation on our hand. One would have thought that if for nothing at all, if all other institutions fail us, it is not the traditional political institution that is going to fail us, because they are the owners of the land on which all these nefarious activities take place, they are the owners. So you don't expect this from what traditional authority. It's unfortunate. How do we win such a battle, right? When, of course, not all of them, but those who are guilty of this crime are deeply, neck deep in this matter for freeing those who are undertaking this illegal activities. It's unfair, and it doesn't bode well for a meaningful institution such as the chieftaincy institution. I think we should rise up to the occasion and all condemn this, and then fish out those chiefs who put pressure on the work of security agents to deal with this. Otherwise, we are not likely to win this. Tied to this is the problem of what? Political interference. And sometimes I ask myself whether politics is serving the interests that it ought to serve. That's $1 million question. Because the essence of every political activity to make life meaningful for everybody. Look at the capacity of the state, all the things we have given to the state to marshal forces to be able to what? Stem the tide of some of these things. And the state becomes complicit in this type of business because of what? Political pressure. That, for me, it's worrying. And I don't know how we are going to deal with this. But there is a caution I want to sound here, that if we think that whatever we have, we don't appreciate it, we should wait and lose it. There we'll see, right? There are people who have, because of one problem or another, don't have forest today. And they are spending millions of dollars to get forest to be able to save the ecosystem they find themselves. We are blessed with what? One here, but we are undermining, destroying, only for us to one day pump more resources to develop such an ecosystem for ourselves. Why? We are our own enemies. We cry for what? Resources. The little that we have, we want to dissipate them, not through any meaningful venture, but through what? Frivolous and illegal means. Let us watch this. We are not going to be lucky all the time. A day will come, we'll pay dearly for that. I'm not praying for this, but it's a reality that we should take into consideration and walk that fine rope and walk it nicely so that at the end of the day, all of us will be fine in our society we call our own.
Before we do any international stories, let's just take a quick look at these two other stories right here in Ghana. The first, Ghana pushes towards late fertility. It got me a bit concerned because, you know, of the state of Japan and how elderly their population is. A very elderly population. And now, even in places like Japan, China, South Korea, it's difficult to get people to marry, much less talk about having children. And it's becoming a problem, age gap. But according to the story, the majority of women in Ghana are now giving birth from ages 25 to 29, the 2022 Ghana Demographic and Health Survey report has revealed. Now, this is set to improve maternal health and reduce the rate of maternal mortality. The report identified the current situation as being in sharp contrast to the previous case when Ghanaian women gave birth between 15 and 19 years, the range referred to as early fertility. With the current situation representing a push towards late fertility, the survey conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service further revealed. Now, the Deputy Government Statistician of the GSS, Dr. Faustina Frimpong Engwa, disclosed this at the dissemination of the 2022 GDHS report on household water and sanitation, fertility and family planning in Accra. So the data was obtained from a nationally representative sample of 18,540 households distributed across all 16 administrative regions and 261 districts of the country. In terms of pregnancy, providing further details about the report, Dr. Frimpong Ingwa said 82% of pregnancies that occurred in women 15 to 49 years surveyed for the report resulted in live births, 11% were miscarriages, induced abortion recorded 7%, while 1% ended in stillbirths. For teenage pregnancy, against this was against 1% for men, while women who gave birth before age 15 formed 1%, just as 1% recorded for men. Let me add the story about free SHS, then you can come in with that demographic as well. Free SHS Secretariat forwards 5 million Ghana cedis to schools for electricity bills. And the Free Senior High School Secretariat is forwarding 5 million Ghana cedis to the Electricity Company of Ghana to defray part of the indebtedness of second cycle schools like Accra and other institutions that have not had light. The move is to prevent the ECG from taking further action against the schools that are indebted to them. For a permanent solution, the Secretariat has scheduled a meeting with the ECG to look at the total indebtedness of senior high schools in the areas the ECG covers. I don't get how we can get to a point like this without some failures or negligence in the system, because if ECG, it's a convoluted situation. ECG presents the bill to, let's say, Accra, whose light has been off. I think yesterday it got restored.
Yes.
Now, Accra supposedly now has to forward that bill to the Free SHS Secretariat before the bill is paid. I don't know whether to Accra to make the payment or directly to ECG or whatever the situation may be. It sounds a bit convoluted to me, and this is not the first time we're having such a situation. And I'm wondering what in the past has been done to address a situation like this, because in a school, once the light goes off, nothing can be done anywhere. I don't know what your thinking is.
Yeah, Ben, I think it's a very worrying situation we have on our hand. Some schools are in darkness simply because they've not settled their bills. If you look at it against the backdrop that this thing ought to be funded by the state, then you ask yourself, do we have budget for it? And the answer is yes. Budget is always prepared and money set aside for this. Why would they want to wait for this moment before money is sent to? There's a question mark there. Because once you prepare budget, all the schools send their budget to Education Ministry and then it's approved by Parliament. Right. So once it's approved, what is that money doing? And we have seen that. You recall when Parliament was confronted, I think last year or last 2 years, quickly the same issue, and they rushed to pay the money. I asked myself, if the money was sitting there, why would you wait till you are disconnected before you pay? Something doesn't add up.
Which is why sometimes people ask what some of these public funds are used for, because it appears sometimes it's been claimed that in some instances, people in certain quarters even invest this money in their own interest until push comes to shove, and then funds have to be. I mean, all kinds of accusations have been made, but and these things create even more thinking along those lines, whether true or not.
Yes, it creates doubts in the minds of everybody, because once budget is approved, we believe that the money is sitting there for use. Why do you delay? Then you give room for all manner of theories to come out for this.
But to be fair to them, Doc, it also doesn't mean once the budget has been approved, the Finance Ministry has disbursed the money to these institutions. That's also another side of the coin.
Yeah, but whatever it is, are we saying that the state doesn't have resources to deal with this? That can also not be taken. The state has resources to do with that. If the state doesn't have these companies, the state can talk to them, ECG, that yes, there's a difficulty. Would you give us a little breather for us to settle this? And I'm sure every company, if you are in difficulty and you go and you have conversation, they can listen to you. Obviously, there is something that has gone amiss, which needs to be fixed. But I believe that the way out, apart from budget and all that, what is of essence is that we should find lasting solution to this. Yesterday, I heard a story that one of the technical universities, it took them about 3 months or so. They were in darkness and all that, and before the bill was paid.
Right.
The way out is for government to sit down with stakeholders, and here I'm talking about PTA and the rest of them, to find out alternative to this problem. And the alternative solution should be solar. Get all the schools on solar so that you free the national grid for industrialization or industry to use, and the rest of them. I think that's the way to go, because it will save us all this perennial problem of what disconnection and all the accompanying problems associated with this type of exercise. It is good that the ECG is doing their work, because we have condemned them over the years that they have been inactive in terms of debt collection and all that. Right. So as they begin to work, I commend them. But I believe that we as a society must also, and here I'm talking about government sit down with stakeholders in education in various schools, and then let them see the way they can bring on board solar. Once you put the schools on solar, I think we'll have some respite to be able to have resources to do other things. Yeah.
On the international front,
I also look at the fertility, the late fertility issue. Right. Yes. From the statistics, I get the impression that we are gradually winning the war against
teenage pregnancy and all that.
Teenage pregnancy, yes, that is a good thing. Those in charge of that, we commend them, but let them continue the effort until we realize that there is zero record on that. I support them, but it's also worrying when you have late fertility. I believe that the psychologists, the health.
So too early scholars, and too late can be problematic.
Yes, yes, because it has its own merits and problems. I listened to BBC story on the Scandinavian countries, and one of the problems is this, that people are not ready to give birth, and the state virtually on its knees begging them, please, let's do this for the sake of maintaining our society and the rest of them. Right. Advocacy should go on alongside with all the good effort they are putting in place, so that we can have some benefit from this. Right. This has its own advantage, where you see career people now taking on board the issue that let me build a career before I have a family and the rest of them. But the consequence is what we are seeing. So the careful balance is what we need, and that should come from scholars, experts, so that we can marry the two, marry the issue of getting your livelihood intact, and at the same time having family, so that we can continue to exist as a society. We need the two work in tandem, so that we can have a better society. The conversation must continue.
On the international front, military leaders dissolve government in Guinea that we've heard of. Navalny's body to be held 2 weeks for chemical analysis. That is in Putin's Russia. And South Korean doctors protest plans to add more physicians. In developed economies, major economies, it has one of the lowest doctor-to-patient ratios. And now the doctors are protesting the government's bid to add more medical school placements. But let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. At pack sitting, Ghana loses 150,000 tons of cocoa through smuggling. That's according to the COCOBOD boss. There are no changes to our leadership. Majority Caucus dismisses claims on that story is on page 8, but we all saw what we did in Parliament yesterday. And justice will be delivered in Ahmed Swale case. That's according to the AG, who shockingly, though, says that the Criminal Investigations Department, the Ghana Police Service, they've not provided evidence, anything tangible on which he can ride as Attorney General in the case of Ahmed Hussein or Ahmed Swale, but he says justice will be delivered. I found that almost shocking. Yeah. So page 8, just to get into the story and then you can share your reactions. The Majority Caucus has dismissed rumors that a change has been effected in its leadership in Parliament. The caucus said it had not contemplated making any changes to its front bench, and that reports suggesting a change had been effected should be treated with the contempt it deserved. But of course, rumors were rife, and yesterday we had members of Parliament from the majority side speaking against it. Whether there was a move, whether there was a planned coup in that sense, which was foiled, no one knows. But once you've had members of Parliament on the majority side speaking to the issues, speaking into the camera and, rooting against it, then obviously they say there's no smoke without fire. Any quick thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I think I will start with the happenings in Parliament relative to this statement we are hearing that there has been effort to change the leadership and all that. I'm surprised to hear this because and that is the house of lawmaking, that you use rules and regulation you pass them and then we use them to regulate the conduct of the whole society. Why are they not using the same thing in Parliament? But yesterday, listening to them, I got my relief from the fact that they have now commissioned the new what do you call the standing orders. And now what the standing orders is saying that they should members, the caucus should select their own leaders.
Right.
If that is the way to go, and that is the provision of the standing orders, I believe that they need to enforce that rigidly so that the hand of the party cannot be extended to that place. Yes. Otherwise, it creates all manner of problems.
Right.
I'm sure that when the NDC had their own experience, the standing order has not come into effect.
Exactly.
But today, they say from January 2nd, it started working. So if they have a document that is regulating the conduct of all these processes, why do they want to abandon it and use another route? That will create a problem. So I think the party and the caucus must smoke that peace pipe to be able to arrive at something that is meaningful. Let them stick to what? The standing orders.
Right.
And once they get that, I think that's the way to go. Smuggling of cocoa is unfortunate because cocoa is the mainstay of Ghana, and anything that affects us dearly.
Right.
You recall last time I criticized COCOBOD and all those stakeholders in the industry who were importing cocoa beans to come and show up the premium for chocolate production. If we are getting this in addition to that problem, then I'm wondering whether we still have Tetequashis Ghana, which has been known for production of cocoa and all that.
Right.
It's unfortunate because within the international circles, we have done so well as a country by producing the beans, even though I have a problem.
Right.
Because the problem is that I want value addition. But at a point in time, you will know that Ghana was providing about 44% of the world's output of cocoa.
Right.
Today, where are we? To the extent that now we are losing it through smuggling. I believe that we need to tighten our borders and make sure that all these things will stop so that farmers will get the real benefit from their effort. And then we stop that habit of importing cocoa beans to Tetequashis Ghana. Encourage farmers to produce that quality of beans that we need. It can be done. If it can be done in Cote d'Ivoire, it should be done here so that it supports the effort of those industry players. But that excuse that it has been part of industry practice for the past 20 years can never be accepted, because even if you want to even plant that type of crop here, cocoa takes 5 years or so to get mature. And for 20 years, we would have had about 4 harvests or more. Please, I think we need to tighten this because we are losing so much. We can't afford to continue on this trajectory.
Right. Thank you, Doc, for joining the conversation this morning in the Daily Guide. Same stories that we've seen, and we're grateful that you took the time to join us. That is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Maybe for discussion some other day, the new finder, it is time to patent kente designs to prevent counterfeiting. Togbi Goba Tenge says it. You often see kente used, for example, in Black Panther, the first installment. Do we have, the Kenyans have something to do with their Maasai, whatever, gear and culture. Do we have that for kente? We don't. So maybe high time we did something of the sort. I see this message. It says, Oblite Kome, happy birthday to the Deputy PM for the NCD, Dr. Wallace Ashite Odiko Olenu of the Public Health Division, Ghana Health Service. Happy birthday to you. Right before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment. They're offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of their branches across Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Energy State, Tema Community 22, Tichuman Hanso and Esiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 or 0274 234 321. And Point Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Time now for sports. Do stay.